Hello and welcome to Excel, an introduction to spreadsheets, brought to you by OneHourAcademy.com. My name is John, I'm the founder of 1 Hour Academy, and I'm going to take you through a quick tutorial today just to explain what spreadsheets are, what kind of things people use them for, and the kinds of information you can put into a spreadsheet. I also want to cover basic formulas in this first tutorial and basic layout of spreadsheets just to get you better acquainted with this program. But first, let's talk about what is a spreadsheet. I'm going to zoom in on a picture here, and you can take a look at what a spreadsheet looks like. Now, regardless of what program you're using, Excel or Lotus 123, or any of the other number of spreadsheet programs, they basically look like this. So you'll see a grid, and you'll see some letters along the top, and you'll see some numbers along the side. Let's take a moment to explain this a bit further. So a spreadsheet can be thought of as a large grid organized into rows and columns. People use spreadsheets mostly to work with numbers. It can perform lots of different calculations with numbers, as you're going to see, and you can also use it to illustrate numbers by creating many different types of graphs or charts. If you're an accountant, you might want to use it to work with numbers. If you're a teacher, maybe you want to work with students and their marks. Maybe you're a coach and you have some athletes and you're tracking their times in different track and field events and you want to find out their average times. It's used for lots of different things. So you can see why a spreadsheet might be a very useful tool for lots of different people. Next, I want to talk about how spreadsheets are organized. So we're going to take a look at another spreadsheet. This one's got some labels on it. So you can see the letters going along the top here and the numbers going along the side here. And then you can see this one box that has a black border around it, which we call cell B2. So as you can see, the columns are lettered going across A, B, C. The rows are numbered going down 1, 2, 3, and a cell is a single box on the grid. Let's talk more about that cell B2. So here it is again up close. This is an actual screenshot of Excel 2010, and one of the things that Excel 2010 does is it also highlights the column and the row that you're in. So if you take a look at this cell here, it's a location, and all cells have locations. We also call those cell addresses. All cell addresses are given a column and a row value, and the cell I'm in right now is B2. So you can see that above right there, B2. Okay, so we don't say 2B, we always give the column first and then the row. So let's talk a little bit more about what kind of things can go into a cell. Basically, there's three main things. There's labels, which are words and titles. Like maybe if you're a teacher, these would be the names of your students or a list of the assignments and tests that you're giving your students. Values, which would be numbers or dates. So if you're an athlete coach, like a track and field coach, maybe you've got the times of your different athletes doing the different events. And then there's the formulas that do the calculations, such as finding the highest and lowest time, maybe the average test mark, or your total expenses, or your revenue or profit for the year. So let's take a look at these a little bit more closely. So for instance, let's take a look at some labels first of all. So let's suppose you had a 3-store chain and you were keeping track of the different locations and the products you sold and the services you sold last month. What you could do first is you could lay out all the information like you see it here with the cities in column A, and B1 would be the products and C1 would be the services. Okay, so these would be the labels. Next, you'd want to go ahead and put numbers in for each of these cities for products and services. So these are the values that you're putting in to fill out the information. Now, I want to pause here for a second and just explain the difference between a label and a value. You notice that values or numbers, they go to the right in a cell, and labels go to the left by default. You can change that, but as you're entering the data, the words are going to want to go to the left, like you can see London here in cell A4, and the values, like the products for London in cell B4, automatically goes to the right. Now we get to the third thing, which is probably one of the more important and more powerful things in Excel. And what I'm talking about again are formulas. So if you wanted to add up the products for the 3 cities, you could put in a formula like this. I'm going to explain this a little bit more detail, but you can sort of see by how it's typed out here what this formula is going to do. Okay? So one thing I want you to notice about formulas is that they all start with equal signs. As soon as you type an equal sign, Excel knows that you're going to enter a formula. A lot of the formulas that you're going to use have predefined words, like the word sum here. We're going to look at a few others in this tutorial later on. When you use a predefined formula, you've always got a cell range that goes beside it. Okay, so in this case here, it's B2 colon B4. And that basically tells Excel that these are the cells that you want to involve in this formula. Let's talk a little bit more about formulas and then also about cell ranges in my next slide here. So first of all, about the formulas. When you type in the formula, as soon as you press enter, the formula is going to disappear and you're actually going to get the answer instead of what you see here. And we'll demonstrate that in a few moments. More about ranges. A range of cells is basically a group of cells. It could be in a row, it could be in a column, it could even be a rectangle grid of rows and columns. Ranges are always used for formulas and are written using this format here. Start cell, and then a little colon sign, and then end cell. So we have B2 to B4 as our formula example here. Here's a couple of other examples that are going in different directions. So here's the cell range A2 to J2, and you can see I've got a picture here of it highlighted on a screen. Okay, that would be sort of a row location for row 2. You can also have a box or a rectangle shaped cell range like you see here, A1 to C4. So A1 is the top left corner, and C4 is the bottom right. Here are some examples of some popular formulas. Now we've already seen the sum. Here's another example of sum. This one is summing the cells from F1 to F8 and adds all the numbers together in between. There's also the average function. Okay, so here's an example going B5 to E5, going across row 5, and this would find the average of all the numbers in those cells there. There's a max formula, which, as you might guess, finds the highest value. So here's one that goes from B1 across and down to H10. So this is maxing out all the numbers in a rectangular area or rectangular range of cells. There's also min, which can be used to find the lowest number from D2 to H2 in this example here. Let's take a look at some formulas in action. So here I've got my original example all filled out for all the city's products and services. What I've done though is I've expanded it to include formulas for the average, the highest, and the lowest. So you can see here that the functions all work the same way, and they're basically working on the same group of cells. So this range of cells here with these 4 formulas are all working on the same 3 numbers, B2 to B4. This finds the total, this finds the average, this finds the highest, and this the lowest. Over here I'm doing the same in column C for services. All of these cells are involving the same 3 cells from C2 to C4. Okay, so this is what I'm saying basically down here. This example shows the formulas you would use to find the total, average, highest, and lowest products and service values for 3 cities, Toronto, New York, and London. Notice that all 8 formulas work on either the cell range B2 to B4 in the case of the products, or C2 to C4 in the case of the services. Remember, if you enter these formulas, they're going to be replaced with the answer when you press enter. So instead of seeing this, what you're actually going to see is this. Okay, so this is the actual result with the numbers, the answers calculated for you. That's all I've got for this tutorial. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned a few things about how Excel is organized and the kinds of things you can do with Excel. In our next lesson, we're going to actually go into Excel and we're going to create our first spreadsheet. And as you can see here, I can't wait. Thanks for watching. Hope you join me in the next lesson.
created using Powtoon. Goodwill Community Foundation, creating opportunities for a better life.
Hyperlinks in PowerPoint act just like the links you find online. They have their own display text, for example, usa.gov retirement resources, and also an email address, web page, or some other location that they're linked to. I'd like to show you how to turn text into a link starting here. All you have to do is go to the Insert tab, then Hyperlink. In this dialog box, you can see the text the link is going to display and change it if you need to. You can also enter a web address here. When you're done, click OK, and the text turns into a hyperlink. Why don't we try linking to something else, maybe an email address? I think it would be nice if new employees could click this person's name to contact Human Resources. This time, I'm going to right-click the text and choose Hyperlink here instead of going to the Insert tab. Now click Email Address, and just enter the recipient's email address here. Other options include linking to a file on your computer. For example, I'd like to be able to pull up the Employee Benefits Guide, which happens to be a Word document. Again, just right-click, go to Hyperlink, and choose Existing File or Web Page. Here, you can navigate to any file on your computer and double-click the one you want to create a link. Keep in mind, your link to another file may not work if you plan to send your PowerPoint out or present it on a different computer. Make sure you have a copy of the linked file on the computer you're using to present, and always test your hyperlinks before giving a presentation. To test, just right-click and go to Open Hyperlink. Looks like this one's working just fine. Other things you can access by right-clicking any of your links includes the ability to edit the hyperlink or remove it. There's one more type of link I'd like to try, at the beginning of my presentation where I have sort of a table of contents. I'd like the viewer to be able to click on an item to go to that place in the presentation. And instead of making the text the hyperlink, we can use the whole shape itself. This way the viewer can click anywhere on the shape to jump to that slide. Let's start with About AdWorks. Just select the shape, right-click, and select Hyperlink. Now, to link this to another slide, go to Place in this document, and you can choose from a list of slides with a little preview to the right. Here's the one we want to link to. Keep going until your table of contents is complete. And don't be afraid to get creative. There are lots of things you can do with the ability to link to other slides. Let's try one of these out in the slideshow view. See that? I was just on slide 2, and now I'm on slide 11. These hyperlinks are going to be a big help to me, and also to anyone who views the presentation on their own.
This is the moment before the moment, when the butterflies disappear and the room goes quiet in anticipation of your moment. When your idea stops being just words in your head, stops being scribbles on a whiteboard, or slide after, well, you get the point. This is the moment when you make things click. Heads nod and light bulbs illuminate, when the boss looks up from her phone, and you can conjure a smile from the numbers guy. Ah, there it is. This is the moment when you know you got him. When you close the deal, win the pitch, and get results. When you change your career, your business, your world, the world. Hey, why not? Because this is the moment after the moment, when you went from being a good presenter to a great presenter. Prezi. Great presenters make great things happen.